Welcome back to our deep dive. Today we are looking at something that perfectly captures the weird, wonderful, and entirely chaotic nature of internet communities.
We really are. And before we even begin, I just want to invite you, the listener, to take a deep breath.
Yes, exactly. Just take a deep breath right now.
Relax your shoulders and settle in. We're going to take a very long, unhurried journey today.
A very calm journey. Because on one side of the table today, we have a digital database. It is a sterile, perfectly organized archive that catalogs tiny plastic toys.
Right. Very rigid.
And on the other side, we have a piece of fan fiction. It is a sprawling, multi-scene role-play script set entirely within that specific toy universe.
And what is so fascinating is just, well, how we get from point A to point B.
Exactly. How does a static line of data in a quiet archive become a 50-page story about running a grocery store errand?
It is the ultimate testament to human imagination, I think.
Yeah. It really is. We are going to break down every single line of dialogue in this script today. We are tracing that creative leap from a rigid database to a completely unhinged dinner party.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the internet just loves to categorize things. We have databases for everything.
Coins, video games, stamps.
Exactly. And in this case, Little's Pet Shop toys. These databases are built on pure logic. They are just taxonomy.
But the moment you hand that taxonomy over to a creative community, they do not just see a list of plastic figures.
No, they see a cast of characters, they see drama, they see high-stakes culinary emergencies.
Which is exactly what we are unpacking today. So let us start right at the origin point.
The very beginning.
The bedrock of our story today is the first source document. It is the digital database entry for a very specific Generation 5 toy.
A very special little toy.
Yes, it is a kitten cat. And in the system, her name is simply listed as Itten.
Probably a typo, right?
Almost certainly a typo, but it is immortalized in the archive nonetheless, just Itten. She comes from the 2016 Blind Bags line.
And if you are a collector, you know that blind bags are all about the thrill of the chase. You never really know what you're going to get.
Right, it is a mystery. Specifically, this kitten cat belongs to a set called Puttin' on the Glitz.
Putting on the glitz.
Her official collector number is 9, and here is the kicker. The detail that defines her entire personality in the fandom. Her special gimmick is glitter.
Glitter. To really understand what this digital database represents, I want you to picture a giant, perfectly organized, glowing toy box floating on the internet.
A glowing toy box. I like that.
Inside this magical toy box, every single shelf is softly illuminated. It is a quiet sanctuary. Collectors from all over the world come here to log their collections, create wish lists, and preserve the history of these tiny objects.
This sounds so peaceful.
It is. Each toy has its own little glowing pedestal. And sitting right there, on pedestal number 9, sparkling under the fluorescent archive lights, is our light blue, glittery kitten from the Puttin' on the Glitz set.
It is a beautiful way to visualize it, but it is just a starting point, right? A plastic toy with a number 9.
Just a piece of plastic.
But in the hands of a storyteller, Kitten Cat number 9 from the 2016 Blind Bags line transforms. She becomes Sapphire.
Sapphire.
And Sapphire is not just a toy sitting on a glowing pedestal anymore. She is an ambitious, highly demanding socialite.
Oh, very demanding.
And she is about to throw a local restaurant into absolute chaos.
Absolute chaos. So today, we're going to follow Sapphire, along with the heavily stressed crew of a local diner, from the very start of their adventure to the very finish.
We are going to explore the script scene by scene, reading every single line of dialogue to understand how these characters tick, and then we will wrap it all up with a structured audio review.
Exactly. So let us dive into Section 1, the prequel.
The prequel.
Before Sapphire even enters the picture, we have to establish the world. We begin at a quaint, bustling local establishment known as the Perfect Patties and Feline Diner.
A wonderful name.
And right off the bat, the author establishes conflict. There is an incident at the front counter.
Yes, and the incident centers around one of the most fundamental drivers of plot in any story. Scarcity.
Scarcity.
A customer walks in. The script identifies him by his database ID, which is LPS Dachshund number 2597.
So they use the actual database number in the text.
Yes, Dachshund number 2597. He walks up to the counter, and he is a dog who knows exactly what he wants. He wants a hamburger, fries, or a chili dog.
It is a simple request for a diner.
It should be. But the employee at the counter has to deliver some truly devastating news. They are completely out of hamburgers.
Oh, no.
No hamburgers, and no fries.
The author makes it very clear that this is not a minor inconvenience. This is a catastrophe. No hamburgers, no fries.
I really want you to remember that. No hamburgers, no fries.
The customer pushes back, hoping the situation has magically changed in the last 10 seconds. But the answer remains the same. No hamburgers, no fries.
I love how the author handles this because it is such a universal feeling of disappointment.
It really is.
Imagine you have waited all week to go to your favorite playground. You walk all the way there, your heart is full of joy, you run up to the very best, tallest slide, and you find that it is locked up with a giant rusty padlock.
A lock slide. That is heartbreaking.
You cannot slide down. That locked slide is exactly what it feels like to be told there are no hamburgers and no fries. You can almost feel the dachshund's heart break.
It is a brilliant way to establish the stakes. But then we get our first look at leadership in this universe.
Yes, the boss.
The resolution arrives in the form of the diner's boss, LPS Persian 263. She is a calm, problem-solving leader who steps in to de-escalate the situation.
And what does she do?
She offers an alternative. Since they are out of the main items, she offers the dachshund hamburger-flavored bones and cake instead.
Hamburger-flavored bones. That is very creative.
And to make up for the locked slide, so to speak, she offers them a discount.
It is classic crisis management. The customer, being somewhat pragmatic, accepts this compromise. He gets his discount, his alternative food is delivered after a short wait, and he thanks them.
The crisis is temporarily averted.
But the damage to the diner's inventory is done. They still have no hamburgers and no fries.
And that leads us to the aftermath. Later in the day, the lunch rush fades, and the diner grows agonizingly quiet.
Quiet.
The employees are just standing around. We are introduced to the crew here. We have Sunil, who is a mongoose. We have Gunther, who is LPS Persian 3761. And Amanda, who is LPS Ladybug 629.
And they are terribly bored. The script notes they are actually considering leaving early due to the complete lack of customers.
Just waiting around.
But the boss, Persian 263, stops them from clocking out.
Why is that?
Because the very same customer, the insistent dachshund number 2597, actually returns. He wants to check for hamburgers again.
Which is such a funny detail. He just cannot let the hamburgers go.
He cannot. But the truth remains, there are still no hamburgers, and there are still no fries.
The customer is disappointed once again, and he leaves.
The diner settles back into its quiet boredom. But this lull, this quiet moment, it is a necessary narrative device. It sets the stage for the inciting incident.
The phone rings. Persian 263 answers it. And on the other end of the line is Sapphire, the glittering number 9 kitten from the Puttin' on the Glitz set.
Sapphire?
Sapphire has a massive project. She needs a caterer for a grand party, and she offers the crew double pay to help her.
Double pay. The board workers, hearing the promise of double pay and desperate for something to do, immediately agree to help. The stage is set.
This brings us to Section 2, Scene 1, Sapphire's grand plan.
This is where we really get to see how a database entry becomes a fully realized character.
Exactly. As we know, her physical description in the archive is just the light blue Generation 5 kitten, but the script gives her a wildly vibrant personality. She is highly ambitious.
Oh, yes.
She loves luxury. She views herself as the absolute queen of her own little universe.
To really understand Sapphire's psychology, I want you to think of a sparkly orchestra conductor.
A conductor, okay.
But imagine a conductor who wants every single spotlight in the entire theater shining right on her, rather than on the musicians playing the instruments.
Oh, I see. She wants the attention.
She is not just throwing a party for her friends. She is throwing a party to receive applause. She wants the awe. She wants the admiration.
She wants to wave her baton and create a masterpiece that everyone will talk about for years.
The script paints this picture beautifully. We find Sapphire sitting in her house, which is painted in soft pastel colors, filled with elegant furniture and twinkling fairy lights.
Very aesthetic.
Her couch is essentially her throne, and the author pays very close attention to her wardrobe, which is a classic fanfiction trope, using clothing to signify character status.
Oh, the outfit is heavily emphasized.
Mm-hmm.
She's wearing a pink cardigan, a ruby red brooch,
Yeah.
and red ballet flats.
That is her uniform of power. A pink cardigan, a ruby red brooch, and red ballet flats. Let us repeat that so it stays with you. A pink cardigan, a ruby red brooch, and red ballet flats.
It screams wealthy socialite. The narrative announces her intentions clearly. The text says Sapphire, queen of her own little universe, was hosting a party.
And not just any party, but a party that would be etched in the annals of social gatherings for its sheer splendor and, most importantly, its food.
What is fascinating here is Sapphire's philosophy on catering. The script notes that Sapphire believed food was not merely sustenance. It was an art form, a declaration, a reason for applause.
A reason for applause. So she brings out her favorite pink notebook, the one with the glittery cover that sparkles under the light.
A nice nod to her putting on the glitz origin.
Exactly. She sits at her kitchen table. She carefully pins her ruby red brooch to her pink cardigan lapel, ensuring it catches the sun just right, and slips on her red ballet flats.
She feels the excitement bubbling inside her as she sets to work. And here we get our first real dialogue from Sapphire.
What does she say?
She murmurs to herself, let's see. We shall require an abundance of food items and preparations for a glamorous soiree. Where to begin?
She smiles, envisioning a room full of friends, laughter filling the air. In her mind, she sees each dish.
First, there would be pretty little hors d'oeuvres that simply scream elegance. She decides on cucumber sandwiches, smoked salmon on rye bread, and mini quiches.
She jots them down, smiling as she pictures the tiny plates beautifully arranged.
But 3 items are not enough for a glittering conductor. She counts on her perfectly manicured fingers and says aloud, okay, that's 3, we need more. One simply must request an augmentation.
An augmentation. I love that phrasing. Next, she imagines a cheese platter that looks like a work of art.
Different shapes of cheese arranged with fresh fruits, nuts, and honey drizzled on top. She quickly scribbles down, a darling gourmet cheese board, accented with a refreshing fruit salad simply divine. I simply must insist on adding mixed nuts for a touch of true elegance.
Then she moves to drinks. She grins, thinking about her signature Powerade, but elevates it. Why not make it extravagant, she says. I'll need a refreshing drink. She lists sparkling water, lemonade, and a fruity punch.
And here, the script introduces a very strange, mysterious voice that steps into the kitchen with a cozy demeanor. We do not know who this is.
Maybe a roommate.
Maybe an inner monologue personified. We aren't sure, but the voice says, oh, heavens, preparing for a grand gala, are we? Oh, darling, are we orchestrating a grand banquet, I presume?
Sapphire replies with a determined look, of course. It has to be memorable. But I can't forget about desserts.
She scribbles cupcakes, mini muffins, and brownies down in a flourish. Then she grins and adds, oh, don't forget my famous chocolate chip cookies. You know it's going to be the star of the dessert table.
Perfect. She writes it down, her heart fluttering with joy. My cookies are legendary, and everyone loved them.
As she brainstorms, the list grows longer and more delicious. She writes down stuffed mushrooms, a pasta platter, a fresh garden salad, and interestingly, veggie dogs with hamburgers.
It is a hilarious mix of high-end catering and backyard barbecue.
Sapphire loves her crafty ideas, arranging her thoughts like a painter doing wonders on a canvas. She dreams of their strong yet pretty presentation, placing them all in fancy glassware that shimmers under the lights.
She adds snacks for guests to nibble on. Chips, dips, cheese straws, and a basket of fresh baked bread. Why not? It gives a playful twist, she exclaims, her eyes sparkling with excitement.
Then she waves a dismissive hand, as if arguing with an invisible caterer. Extensive is precisely the point, she insists. Now the mains, I was thinking. Lamb chops, herb-crusted, and perhaps some miniature pizza rolls. A touch of luxury.
I just love that miniature pizza rolls are considered a touch of luxury right alongside herb crust and lamb chops.
It perfectly captures the charming, chaotic logic of role-play writing. She continues musing, small plates, of course.
Yeah.
Easier to mingle, but substantial. How about individual beef Wellingtons? Tenderloin, mushroom duxelles, all wrapped in puff pastry. Pure indulgence.
She opens her eyes, her gaze alight. Lemon herb roasted chicken skewers, juicy, flavorful, and easy to eat. And for a vegetarian option, grilled halloumi with roasted red peppers. Chewy, salty, and satisfying.
And finally, she leans back, claps her hands together, a smile plastered on her face, and announces triumphantly, that's it, we have 40 items.
40 items. I really want you to let that number sink in. 40 items.
40 items. It is truly staggering. If we calmly analyze Sapphire's motivation here, it becomes quite clear why she needs such an absurd amount of food.
A menu of 40 items is a declaration of status. She wants the applause of her guests.
Yes. The 40 items are not just about feeding people. They are about proving her elegance and securing her place as the queen of her universe.
Can you imagine the logistical nightmare of preparing 40 separate menu items?
It is a mountain of food.
A literal mountain. And this brings us to Section 3, Scene 2, the demand at the diner. This is where Sapphire's grand vision collides with the gritty reality of the service industry.
Before we read the scene, let us introduce our diner crew with some playful comparisons so you can clearly picture their distinct personalities and the workplace dynamics.
Yes, let's take a slow look at the team. First, we have Sunil. He is a mongoose collie hybrid.
I want you to picture Sunil like a tightly wound-up toy car that is vibrating with nervous energy upon the kitchen counter. He is high-strung, he is fastidious, and he worries about everything.
Next, we have Gunther, the Persian cat. Think of Gunther like a very sleepy, very grumpy owl sitting on a tree branch just watching the forest burn.
A sleepy owl. That is perfect. He is deadpan, existential, and completely unbothered by the chaos around him. He just observes with dry, cutting humor.
Then there is Amanda, the ladybug. Imagine Amanda as a bright, bouncy rubber ball. If you drop it, it just pings around the room full of chaotic joy.
She is bubbly, she's delightfully oblivious to stress, and she absolutely loves snacks.
Finally, we have Persian 263. She is the boss. Compare her to a very fluffy sheepdog who is trying desperately to herd a bunch of chaotic, tiny sheep.
A fluffy sheepdog. She is authoritative and business-minded, trying to keep the diner afloat. But underneath that stern exterior, she cares deeply for her erratic little flock.
The scene opens inside the perfect Patties and Feline Diner. The script sets the stage. Sunil is sitting at the front desk with Gunther, while Amanda is working at the back, waiting for food orders.
The boss calls everyone to the front for a morning meeting.
Persian 263 lays down the law. She says, all right, everyone, today is a new day, so I hope everyone had a good sleep and rest, and make sure you clock in, otherwise it's going on your paycheck. That is all. Carry on.
She walks away. It is a very realistic managerial threat.
And then Sapphire makes her grand entrance.
The narrative text states that Sapphire, a vision in her light pink cardigan adorned with a ruby red brooch, her red ballet flats tapping impatiently, stood before the boss. Her eyes, the color of a stormy sea, scanned the bustling kitchen.
The script gives us this dramatic prose. It reads, Sapphire stood in front of the grand entrance of the Feline Diner, a gleaming establishment known for its mouth-watering pure-effect patties. The sun was slowly sinking in the sky, casting a golden hue on the building that matched her bright pink cardigan.
She flipped her hair and took a deep breath, ready to make her grand entrance. With her ruby red brooch sparkling, she pushed open the door and walked in with a confident stride.
Inside, the cozy diner buzzed with the sounds of laughter and chatter. The script notes that the boss was busy behind the counter, while Amanda, the ladybug, expertly flipped patties on the grill.
The checkered apron gave the boss an air of authority, but there was always a friendly smile on her face. As Sapphire approached the counter, Persian 263 looked up.
She was used to customers coming in for delicious meals, but she could tell right away that Sapphire was not just another customer. Her presence lit up the room, and she straightened up, preparing to meet her needs.
Sapphire wastes no time. Her voice sweet as syrup, but filled with impatience, she announces. Boss, we need to talk. I want to arrange a fancy dinner party at my house.
Persian 263 raises an eyebrow, clearly surprised by the scale of the request. A dinner party? That's a big request, Sapphire. What do you have in mind?
Sapphire taps her fingers lightly on the counter. I want the best of the best. We're going to have the wonderful pure RF patties, of course, but also I need an impressive lineup of appetizers and maybe some fancy desserts.
Sunil, the anxious mongoose, scratches his head, already calculating the stress. That sounds ambitious. Do you have a specific menu in mind?
Sapphire leans in, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Of course. I want everything to be perfect. I want our guests to remember this night forever. It will be the talk of the town.
She then unfolds her plans further. We should also think about the decor. It has to look exquisite. I want elegant table settings, beautiful flower arrangements, and chic lighting.
Sunil, perhaps taking notes, just repeats, flowers and perfect.
Then Sapphire reiterates her point, tapping the counter again. I want the best of the best, Sunil. We're going to have the wonderful pure-effect patties, of course,
Wow.
but also I need an impressive lineup of appetizers and maybe some fancy desserts.
And here we have a fun little script anomaly. Gunther actually repeats Sunil's exact line from earlier. He scratches his head and says, that sounds ambitious. Do you have a specific menu in mind?
It is a charming little glitch in the role-play writing process, showing how these scripts are often drafted collaboratively and rapidly.
Sapphire nods eagerly and pulls out the folded piece of paper from her handbag. I've written a list. Here it is, she says, handing it over. And here's $200 to get things started.
Persian 263 takes the $200 and says, professionally, we'd be happy to do your request.
But then Sapphire does something incredible. She nods eagerly and says, and here an extra $300. Sunil told me that you're out of food that should cover my party and help your restaurant.
Sunil unfolds the paper and scans the handwritten items, the gourmet salads, crispy appetizers, and decadent desserts. He realizes the massive scope of the project.
This is a lot to prepare in such a Sapphire, he says. Are you sure about this?
Gunter, true to his sleepy owl nature, delivers a deadpan observation. Still better than sitting around doing nothing.
Sapphire leans in again, eyes sparkling. Of course.
Huh.
I want everything to be perfect. I want our guests to remember this night forever. It will be the talk of the town.
And Amanda, the bouncy rubber ball of the group, sums up the immediate reality of the situation. Looks like we better get to the store fast.
Let us pause here and calmly examine this massive exchange of money. Sapphire first hands over $200. Then she hands over an extra $300, specifically because Sunil warned her they were out of food.
So 200 plus 300 makes 500. She casually drops $500 on the counter of a small diner.
I want you to remember that number. $500.
Which raises a very important question. Is it normal for a customer to fund a restaurant's grocery run? It seems completely backwards. Usually a restaurant uses its own capital to buy ingredients and then charges the customer for the finished product.
It is highly unusual in the real world, yes. But if we look at the mechanics of this story, we understand why it happens. Sapphire's motivation is purely to get her perfect party. She needs those 40 items.
If the diner is out of food, she cannot have her party.
Exactly. So she simply pays to fix the supply chain problem herself. However, by doing this, she accidentally acts as a narrative savior for the perfect Patty's Diner.
It is like finding a magical treasure chest right when the diner needed it most. Remember the prequel? They were out of hamburgers, out of fries, and totally bored. Suddenly a magical treasure chest of $500 appears.
This $500 is the fuel that drives the rest of the plot.
Exactly. And that fuel takes us directly into Section 4, Scenes 3 and 4, the Safeway grocery store chaos. This is the absolute highlight of the script.
This is where our crew, armed with Sapphire's $500 magical treasure chest, heads out into the real world to get supplies.
The juxtaposition of these tiny, colorful cats navigating a mundane human grocery store is fantastic. We begin in the Safeway parking lot.
A shopping cart rattles violently across the pavement, carrying a precarious tower of bulk-sized hot dog buns and 3 massive bags of frozen fries.
Sunil is trying to push the cart, but he is struggling with the immense weight of the catering supplies. Meanwhile, Gunther is riding on the back of the cart like a chariot, looking completely unbothered.
Gunther looks down at Sunil and says, completely deadpan, "You're tilting to the left, Sunil. The structural integrity of the chicken tenders is at risk."
Sunil, huffing and sweating, snaps back. Maybe if you helped push instead of pretending you're the king of the produce aisle, we'd be halfway to the car by now.
They finally make it inside. The script cuts to Safeway Aisle 4, the frozen foods section. Persian 263 stands in the center of the aisle, arms crossed.
The script describes her looking like a corporate executive in a very small, very fluffy body. She is staring down a freezer door like a general looking at a battle map, calculating troop movements and supply lines.
She mutters to herself, "The logistics are simple. We need high-protein snacks to sustain the staff, but we need the cost per unit to remain low." She is fully in boss mode here.
Meanwhile, Amanda is beside her. And in a stroke of genius character design, Amanda is wearing a full purple and white tennis dress and a pink visor.
A tennis dress to the grocery store.
She is currently mid-stretch, touching her toes while holding the shopping list.
Amanda calls up, muffled from her toes. "Could we get the organic tenders? The ones with the honey mustard dip?"
Persian 263 snaps back sharply. "Amanda, we are running a business, not a wellness retreat. Get the bulk pack, the one that looks like it could feed a small village in the Alps. But fine, we'll get the organic tenders."
Amanda pops up, her pink visor slightly crooked, and looks at the boss with a small, knowing smile. "Thanks, boss, you're the best," she says. And then, justifying her stretching routine, she adds, "That was market research on employee relations."
Someone, likely the boss, calls her out giggling. "Sure it was. You were literally adjusting your fur for 5 minutes.
The chaos continues as they move to the checkout line. The group is converged. The cart is now overflowing with a chaotic amount of processed meat.
Sunil is meticulously checking the expiration dates on every single package of burger buns. Gunther, meanwhile, is staring intensely at a display of celebrity-endorsed extreme jalapeno chips.
Gunther ponders the chips deeply. "Do you think these are actually flavored with extreme jalapeno, or is it just a marketing ploy to make us feel adventurous?"
Sunil, without even looking up from his expiration dates, replies, "It's a ploy, Gunther. Much like your belief that you can actually help with the groceries, it is a fantastic little burn."
The boss steps in, trying to maintain order. "All right, focus. We have a schedule. If we don't get these back to the restaurant and into the deep fryers by 4:40 p.m., the dinner rush will be a catastrophe."
Amanda leans in, whispering loudly to the group, She's only stressed because she's trying to impress that new supplier from the city. She's been practicing her professional boss voice in the mirror for 3 days.
Version 263 flushes with embarrassment. I have not, Lee. My voice is naturally authoritative.
The narrative text steps in here with a brilliant visual. The human cashier, a soft-spoken teen, looks at the mountain of hot dogs and then down at the tiny, gray, fluffy boss. The cashier says, "That'll be $84.12.
Persian 263 reaches for her wallet with a dramatic flourish to pay, but her paw slips. She crashes into a display rack, knocking over an entire shelf of impulse-buy Skittles.
They scatter everywhere. Everyone freezes. A long, painful silence follows.
Breaking the silence, Gunther looks at the mess and says dryly, very authoritative.
Persian 263 just sighs, defeated. "Shut up, Gunther. Just everyone help me pick up the Skittles."
But here, the author gives us a very heartwarming moment amidst the comedy. As they lean down to help pick up the candy, Amanda catches Persian 263's eye.
A moment of genuine softness passes between them, the kind of bond that goes beyond a boss and her employee. Amanda reaches out and straightens Persian 263's collar. She says, "You're doing a great job, boss, even if you're a disaster at shopping."
Persian 263 says quietly, "Thank you, Amanda. Now get the chicken tenders. We're leaving." It's a really sweet resolution to the tension.
But the tension ramps right back up in the parking lot. The text reads, "A discarded shopping cart rolls slowly across the asphalt, pushed by a stray breeze. The sliding doors of the Safeway supermarket hiss open. 4 figures emerge, burdened by an absurd amount of plastic bags."
Sunil is not just walking, he is auditing. He holds a bag of burger buns 6 inches from his nose, squinting intensely at the print. Panic is rising in his voice.
2 days. Only 2 days left till Sapphire's Party 263. We're risking a texture crisis. If the gluten structure collapses before the Friday rush, the integrity of the slider is compromised. We better start getting the food now.
Persian 263, marching at the front with 3 bags of frozen appetizers hanging from her elbows, doesn't even look back. Sunil, relax, we got this. Sapphire gave us the money we bought our items for the store, now we're doing hers, so put those cucumber sandwiches, smoked salmon on rye bread, and mini quiches in the cart and stop breathing on the packaging.
Meanwhile, Amanda is walking backward, completely oblivious to the parking lot traffic, happily shoving handfuls of orange cheese puffs into her mouth.
Her mouth full, she mumbles, I think the orange ones taste like sunshine and chemicals.
As she says this, she accidentally flicks a crumb of orange dust onto Sunil's pristine fur. Sunil lets out a strangled gasp and screams, "Contamination!" We are now carrying an airborne particulate of processed cheese.
And what is Gunther doing during this? He is frozen mid-step near the sliding doors. He isn't looking at the exit. He is staring with profound existential intensity at a cardboard display of celebrity-endorsed extreme heat chips.
He says in a deep monotone, "The chip spokesperson is staring at me. He knows I'm a critic."
Persian 263 stops abruptly. Gunther, the car, no. But Gunther doesn't move. He's locked in a psychic battle with a cardboard cutout of a famous athlete. He mutters. He thinks he can redefine the zesty profile. He's an amateur. A charlatan.
Persian 263 sighs, leaning in like a tired mother. "Gunther, honey, we love the passion for the culinary arts, but if we don't get these frozen appetizers into the freezer in the next 5 minutes, the zesty shrimp are going to become soggy shrimp."
Gunther blinks, the spell finally broken. He pivots sharply and trots toward the car.
They all pile into the SUV. The car is instantly filled with the scent of frozen peas and Amanda's cheese puffs. Persian 263 takes the driver's seat and looks at her crew in the rearview mirror.
Sunil is currently rearranging the bags to ensure the frozen goods are shielded from the sun by the dry goods.
Persian 263 says softly, "You know, most bosses would have just hired a delivery service."
Sunil replies proudly, "Delivery services lack our attention to detail. Who else would check the expiration dates on the buns?"
Amanda beams, her face likely covered in cheese dust, and adds, "And who else would eat all the samples?"
Persian 263 smiles. It is a genuine, warm expression that softens her strict boss persona. She reaches over and pats Amanda's pink visor, and she delivers a line that perfectly encapsulates their found family dynamic.
She says, "You're all disasters, but you're my disasters."
My disasters.
Yeah.
I want you to remember that phrase. My disasters.
It is such a poignant phrase. She looks at Sunil having a panic attack over gluten, Gunther fighting a 2-dimensional cardboard cutout, and Amanda radiating sunshine and chemicals, and she embraces them all.
They may be chaotic, but they belong to her, and she loves them.
As she shifts the car into gear, Gunther stares out the window and delivers his final verdict on the cutout. The chip man was wrong. The flavor profile is mid. Persian 263 laughs, and they drive back to the perfect patties and feline diner.
This brings us to Section 5. Scenes 5 and 6, cooking, delivery, and success. Now, the author does something very interesting here structurally. They utilize a massive time jump.
A very massive time jump. We are told the four pets put the food in their freezer, and then Gunther and Amanda start making the food. And then we simply see the text 8 hours later.
8 hours later. It is an incredible narrative leap. For 8 long hours, off-screen, they chop, they bake, they fry, and they assemble all 40 items for the Gen 5 Kittens Grand Gala.
We skip the grueling marathon of catering and cut straight to the glorious result.
Amanda announces their victory, beaming, "Yay! We made all the food on top, and we finally got hamburgers and fries back in stock."
That is the ultimate payoff. We finally have hamburgers and fries.
The trauma of the prequel is resolved. The locked slide at the playground is finally open. They restock the hamburgers and fries, effectively saving their own business while fulfilling Sapphire's order.
Remember the dachshund. No hamburgers, no fries. Well, now they have them.
But the celebration is cut short by management. Persian 263 says, "Great job, everyone. Gunther and Amanda, you stay behind while the rest of us will drop off the items for Sapphires."
Hunter is immediately outraged. In his deadpan voice, he complains, "What? How can I get to stay behind? That's no fair." Amanda echoes him, "Yeah, why I gotta stay?"
Persian 263 lays down the harsh reality of this service industry.
Yeah.
Because I'm the boss and I say goes. And plus, if people show up, we're going to need a front desk person and a cook.
It is a playful comparison to a teacher at a school. The bell rings, and the teacher picks 2 students who have to stay behind and clean the dusty chalkboard while everyone else gets to run outside for recess.
No one ever wants to be the one cleaning the chalkboard. Gunther and Amanda want to go on the delivery adventure and see the fancy pastel house. But someone has to guard the castle. Someone has to man the front desk.
So Sunil and Persian 263 drive off to Sapphire's house. When the night finally arrived, Sapphire stood before her mirror, smoothing down her pink cardigan with practiced elegance.
With the red brooch gleaming, she clasped her paws gently in front of her waist, a poised gesture that showed confidence. Stepping into her red ballet flats, she felt ready to be the center of attention.
There is a knock on the door. Sapphire walks to the door, opens it, and sees Sunil and Persian 263 standing there with a mountain of food. Sapphire is ecstatic.
She says, "OH, wow, you did it, and you made all the food for it just as I requested in my notebook on time. Just set the food over there, please."
Sunil and Persian 263 carry the food and set it on the table. Sapphire, feeling generous, says, "Keep this up, and I might have to call you guys again for another request order."
Persian 263, ever the professional, replies, "Happy to help. Enjoy your party. We better get going. Come on, Sunil." Sunil says, "Coming, boss." Bye, Sapphire.
And they make their exit, leaving Sapphire to her grand gala.
The author then provides a beautiful post-credits narrative to wrap up the story. As guests arrived, her living space transformed into a lively celebration, laughter ringing through the air. The tables were laid out, adorned with a stunning display of food, and guests marveled at the spread.
Sapphire moved gracefully from conversation to conversation, her heart swelling with pride as everyone enjoyed her hard work.
As the evening unfolded, Sapphire realized her efforts had truly paid off. The love for each carefully prepared dish echoed in the delighted voices of her friends.
They danced, shared stories, and filled the air with joyous laughter, and as she looked around, she felt the warmth of friendship embracing her. At that moment, surrounded by delicious food and cherished friends, Sapphire knew that her party was a tremendous success.
She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and felt like a queen on her throne.
Sapphire leaned back on her throne, a triumphant smile gracing her lips. She surveyed the list of 40 items, her heart swelling with pride. It was more than a menu. It was a testament to her impeccable taste, her boundless creativity, and her unwavering commitment to excellence.
The party, she knew, would be a resounding success. The food, the star of the show, would be talked about for years to come. Her glitter crown indeed shone brightly.
Her glitter crown shone brightly. What a fantastic image to close on. And that brings us to the end of the story itself. Now it is time for the formal audio overview review of the piece.
I am looking forward to this. For our review, we will structure the debate into 3 sections. An opening round focused on pacing and writing, a question and answer session focused on character critique and demographic appeal, and finally, our closing remarks.
Let us kick off the opening round. As I reflect on this story, one of the most striking elements is the pacing. The narrative moves incredibly fast.
There's a whirlwind.
1 minute, they are entirely out of hamburgers, paralyzed by boredom, and the very next minute, a mysterious phone call propels them into a frantic mission to prepare 40 high-end catering items. It creates a great sense of momentum.
The pacing certainly keeps you engaged. Regarding the writing itself, is the story okay? I would argue the writing is highly imaginative and charming.
Yes, the grammar and phrasing can be a bit raw and chaotic in places, but the heart of the story beats very strongly.
The author has a real talent for comedic timing. My absolute favorite part of the entire piece is the grocery store parking lot scene. The image of Gunther, the cynical cat, fighting a psychic battle against a cardboard cutout of a chip athlete is simply hilarious.
I agree completely. The Safeway scene is the peak of the script. However, if we discuss what we dislike or how to improve the story, I have to point out that 8-hour time jump.
Skipping the actual cooking of the 40 items feels like a missed opportunity.
To improve this script, we really should see the kitchen chaos. I want to see Sunil stressing out over a mixing bowl, panicking about the gluten structure of the puff pastry for the beef Wellingtons.
I want to see Amanda trying to eat half the ingredients while Persian 263 runs around trying to herd them all like a frantic sheepdog, showing that 8-hour marathon would make the final payoff so much richer.
That is a brilliant point. The struggle makes the victory sweeter. Let us transition to our Q&A session, focusing on character review and demographics. I will throw the first question to you. Which character was your favorite, and which was your least favorite?
My favorite character, without a doubt, is Amanda, the bouncy rubber ball ladybug. She brings such a pure, joyful energy to the stressed-out team. The image of her eating cheese puffs while walking backward in a parking lot, completely oblivious to traffic, is wonderful.
And your least favorite?
My least favorite character is actually from the prequel. Dachshund number 2597. He was simply too insistent. When someone tells you the slide is locked, you shouldn't keep asking to go down it. Now, question 2 for you. How would you change Sapphire to make her a more likable protagonist?
That is a very thoughtful question. Sapphire is driven by a desire for status, which can make her seem a bit aloof. I would suggest giving her a moment where she actually gets her paws dirty.
Instead of just waiting on her throne-like couch in her pristine pink cardigan.
Yes, what if she helped chop the vegetables? What if she actually baked her famous chocolate chip cookies alongside the diner crew? If she rolled up her sleeves and got a little flower on her ruby red brooch, it would make her much more grounded and likable to the audience.
That would definitely humanize her. Now for question 3, let us look at the audience demographics. Does this dialoguing tone resonate well with preteens, aged 9 to 12?
Absolutely. My critique is a resounding yes for that demographic. The author uses silly physical comedy that is perfect for the 9 to 12 age range.
Spilling a whole display of Skittles at the checkout, eating cheese puffs, and declaring they taste like sunshine and chemicals, wearing a full tennis outfit and pink visor just to go to the frozen food aisle. These are wonderfully goofy, highly visual elements that preteens will find incredibly entertaining.
And what about question 4? Does this story resonate with adults, ages 20 to 60? It seems like a children's story on the surface, but does it hold up for an older audience?
Surprisingly, yes. Adults will connect deeply with Persian 263, the boss. Any adult listener will understand the very real stress of calculating the cost per unit of snacks to keep a business afloat.
They will recognize the relatable humor in secretly practicing a professional boss voice in the mirror to impress suppliers.
And anyone who has ever managed a team or worked in a kitchen will relate to the exhaustion of trying to keep chaotic employees on a tight schedule while affectionately viewing them as your disasters. It hits very close to home for the working adult.
That brings us to our closing remarks. To summarize our thoughts, this story is a perfect example of internet creativity.
It takes a simple digital database entry, a light blue kitten from 2016 with a glitter gimmick, and breathes incredible chaotic life into it.
It is a charming journey of teamwork, stress, and 40 delicious items.
It really is. And I will leave you with a thought to ponder as we end our deep dive today. I want you to just think about this. Isn't it fascinating how a rigid taxonomy, a few lines of static text about a plastic toy, can blossom into a sprawling, vibrant banquet of the imagination?
It makes you wonder, what kind of grand, untold stories are hiding in your own favorite childhood objects, just waiting for the right spark of imagination?
A great question to end on. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We will see you next time on our deep dive.